All right, we're recording. All right, so we got the agenda of the Improvement Services Committee for Wednesday, May 15th, 2024. Roll. Alder Eck.
Here.
Alder DeLee.
Here.
Alder Weary.
Here.
Alder Presley.
Here.
Everybody's here. Item C is election of chairperson and vice chairperson of the Improvement Services Committee. So we'll open with nominations.
I'll nominate Alder Eck.
I will nominate Alder DeLee.
Okay, so we have nominations for Alder Eck and Alder DeLee for chair. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none. So Alder, all those in favor of Alder Eck
Aye.
Aye.
and those in favor of Alder DeLee?
Aye.
Okay, so we're at 2-2. We can reopen nominations, or we can decide a method of chance for doing this, or what's the wishes of the committee?
And make a motion for a coin flip.
Okay, so we got a motion for a coin flip. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, so we're at a 2-2 push there. So what's the wishes of the body?
Director Grenier, can you explain what you were talking about the process of
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
going from here?
What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to take a look and get onto our municipal code library. I'm sure there's a way to do it while I'm on the computer, but I'm afraid that I might mess something up and mess the meeting up, so I don't want to do that.
Director Burnett, perhaps a song? While we're waiting?
Okay, so standing committees. Generally, appointment. Each standing committee shall elect its chairperson and vice chairperson without confirmation by the common council. So the way that I understand it, now obviously I'm not an attorney, I'm not the city attorney, I'm a layperson, I've got a relatively decent background in municipal law, but the way that I read this is that the ordinance provides that the standing committee has to be the one to elect the chairperson and vice chairperson without confirmation by the common council. So this can't be done as a committee by a committee of the whole at the council level. It can't go with a no recommendation and have the council amend it on the council floor. My understanding is that the 4 members here have to come up with some method for electing a chair and vice chair. So,
Foosball.
well,
And we got an email from Attorney Bungert.
okay.
I'm just looking it up right now.
Lawn Jarts, the original.
Committee chair.
Thought they were illegal. I have them from the 70s.
The
Don't tell me that.
okay. There was a couple, but let's see. As our standing committees will be meeting. Okay. Process is similar to officer elections we had for council. They do not need to be seconded. If there's a tie, you may revote or break the tie via coin flip or drawing of the lots. And then she sent a follow-up saying, another important point is that the committee should vote on its preferred method of breaking a tie. Majority vote to agree on a method, and the method must be one of chance.
Method of chance, correct.
Yeah.
I mean, the option is out there, the committee elected to hold that until the next meeting, which is why we're taking it up now. That would be a valid thing to do, or we could just rotate the chair and not have a chairperson, but I mean, I'm not sure what the thought process is, but it does have to be resolved by the members of this committee. It can't be resolved by the common council or by committee of the whole. So ultimately, it comes down to the four.
I would make a motion to table this decision to our next meeting.
Okay, so we got a motion to hold, and would that be for both chair and vice chair?
Both chair and vice chair.
Okay,
Was there more to your motion?
No.
I just wonder if there was a reason.
Because we didn't make a decision in the first meeting. We didn't have this information in the first meeting. So if we are going to vote,
We did, it was sent to us an email before that meeting.
we didn't talk about that email in the first meeting. So I feel like if we're going to put it up to chance, that we table the decision till next Park and Rec and INS meeting, and we put it up to chance then, for both committees.
I believe that's June 5. No, it's June 12th is the next meeting, I believe, correct?
Well, it says. at
It's
the
listed
bottom.
in here, but, well,
June
I'll have to
5th.
verify the date.
Okay.
Yeah, it says 5th in here. I got a feeling there's something not right with the schedule. Okay, so we have a motion to hold.
I would like to add that, I would like to put in a petition, I'll do this separately.
Okay.
To potentially change the ordinance so that we have a process in place for if there is a tie for now and the future. And so I don't know how long that process would take.
Generally speaking, ordinances have to be advanced through a committee unless you do it as committee of the whole, which would have to be rostered as committee on the whole on the council agenda. Generally speaking, ordinances go for first reading, then are advanced for a second reading at the next subsequent council meeting unless it's identified that you are asking for first and final, in which case first and final, I believe, takes either a 2/3 or a 3/4 majority vote. So you can get it through in one reading, but you have to identify that upfront that you're looking for first and final.
Okay.
But it has to be written.
What's that?
It also has to be written, so it could take months.
Correct. So you'd actually have to have the draft language of the ordinance prepared so that the draft is there for the council to review as a committee of the whole.
Okay.
Other than that, it has to come through committee, which typically an ordinance like that would be a policy decision, so that's gonna go to protection of policy. So it'd have to work its way through P&P and then go through the ordinance reading process.
Okay.
Okay, so we do have we got a motion to hold. We do not have a second on that.
I will second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor of that motion
Aye.
Aye.
and all opposed?
Silence is assent. I'm not voting. Oops, sorry.
Okay, hearing no opposed, we do have votes in the affirmative, so that will be held until the next meeting. Okay, with that in mind, what would be the pleasure of the committee and how you would like to conduct this meeting? You can elect to have one of the four alders conduct the meeting as the chair pro tem. You can have the director continue to run the meeting for this meeting. Your pleasure.
I would be happy if the director would run the meeting.
I'll second that.
What?
And I don't know that that necessarily needs a vote. I think what we're looking for is consent among the four. And if one of the alders wants it, I'm not going to dispute that, okay?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Alderette, do you have any interest in chairing this committee tonight?
I'd be happy to.
Would there be any opposition to Alder Eck working as a chair pro tem, similar to what she did last time?
No, that's fine.
No.
Okay, so Alder Eck will take over at this point.
Okay. Thank you, Director Grenier. So we'll move on to regular,
Approval of the
I'm
agenda,
sorry,
please.
I was going down. Approval, looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Chairman. Our pledge too.
What was
Our
it?
pledge.
Oh, we did it first one.
Oh, okay. That's
So-
fine. Yeah, I guess we
Yeah.
can count it for both. Okay.
I move to approve the agenda.
Okay,
I'll
motion approved.
second that.
Okay, so Alder Presley, motion to approve, seconded by Alder DeLee. All those in favor say aye,
Aye.
and that passes. So looking for approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Alder DeLee,
Seconded.
second by Alder Presley. All those in favor say aye,
Aye.
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 and that passes. So now we will move on to regular business. Sorry about that. Consideration with possible action on, oh, she's not here. Okay, but on request by Jennifer Pagel of 1070 Kenwood Street to rescind the outstanding invoices for early garbage set out held over from the May 1st, 2024 Improvement and Services Committee meeting.
And this one, I'm gonna go to Alder Weary because Ms. Poggle was not able to attend the last meeting, and that's why we held. Do we have a similar situation?
Thank you, Director and Mr. Chairman. I haven't heard, I don't know if the same situation occurred at work. My question would be, is staff opposed to the rescinding of these? If not, it would be easy and we wouldn't need to hold it, but
The petitioner is stating that she would like an appeal on the basis that she was never given a warning, just a citation, and she also feels that the amount of the citation is high. Staff did enforce consistent with the ordinance provisions. Excuse me. So there isn't anything excessive. These fees are adopted by Common Council during the fee establishment process each year, and enforcement was consistent with the provisions of how we've enforced this across the city. So staff doesn't have any issue with the action that was taken. We feel this is consistent with how we conduct business throughout the city. If the committee would wish to hold, we're fine with that. I can't, at the staff level, the discretion that the council has given me, I can't do this one. If I had the latitude to take care of it on my own, I would have. It would have never came here.
am I inferring there wouldn't have been a fee?
No, if this would have been within the latitude that the council had granted the department head, I could have reconciled it one way or the other, but this is outside the boundary conditions that you guys established for me, so it's here.
Well, there's no time sensitivity on this, so I'll just make a motion to hold, and that'll be
That's
with the
fine.
intention that that be the last one, and I'll speak to her, and if she can't make it, maybe get a written statement. So, something that.
Correct,
is a backup
and,
just in case.
The only thing I would ask you to do is also take a look at the packet, because there are several emails from her in the packet, so if she just wants to consolidate that into a single statement or something, that would be great.
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion to hold
Second.
from Alder Weary, seconded by Alder Presley, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and that passes. It'll be held till the next meeting, which may or may not be June 5th.
Correct, it's either
So-
June 5th or June 12th.
Okay, and then the next council meeting is only because I should say all of this goes to the next council meeting.
Correct.
I apologize, I don't have that date in my mind right now. Do you know what that is?
Today's the 15th,
21st.
21st.
21st, okay, so it'll go to the full council on the 21st. Thank you. Consideration, number 2, consideration with possible action on request by Department of Public Works to have the City of Green Bay petition the Office of Commissioner of Railroads for an at-grade crossing of a rail spur line along Wisey Street at North Quincy Street.
Okay, I didn't include anything in your packet on this one. Rail issues are exceedingly complex because rail interaction draws its authority from the Interstate Commerce Clause of the Constitution. So we are, at a local level and at a state level, there are severe limitations to what we can and cannot do. So I just want to preface that. The most typical instance across the country is that, except for the eastern seaboard, rail lines existed and towns grew up around them. We are unique in that off the eastern seaboard, we had the city first. So there are significant instances across the city of Green Bay where we had platted streets recorded prior to rail service going across those streets. Just a little idiosyncrasy based on how old Green Bay is. Every time that there is an at-grade crossing, so not grade separated, one above the other, no trestle in the air, or no highway above a rail crossing. So at grade, you literally have to drive across the tracks. The Federal Rail Administration, working with the Office of Commissioner of Railroads here in the state of Wisconsin, requires that an at-grade crossing be licensed at each of those locations. With recent meetings with the OCR's office and Foxy being an operator on the Watco lines on the east side of the river, we've had some discussions relative to potential safety improvements up the Quincy Street corridor and Quincy at Wisey. There's a spur line that runs up the east side of Quincy all the way up to, but not crossing, Bay Beach Road. The crossing of Quincy Street, or of Wisey Street at Quincy, FRA or OCR's office has determined that there is not a licensed crossing in the state's database for that. So we, as the agency that owns the road, have to make that petition to get a licensed crossing there. So everybody, the railroad and we, are all in compliance. They do have a sample resolution. I do have a copy of the sample resolution. What I will be doing is, if this does get approved tonight, I will be drafting this as a final resolution, and the resolution will appear in the council packet, so you'll have that prior to Tuesday. What I can tell you is this is largely procedural. So it's just an action we have to go through. And I can't draft the resolution. A resolution has to be adopted by the Common Council. The only way to get the resolution to the Common Council is to bring it through committee. Therefore, it's in front of you.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay, we're looking for a motion.
Motion to approve?
We got a motion by Elder Weary,
Seconded.
second by Elder Presley. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, and that passes. Number 3, consideration with possible action on request by the Department of Public Works to enter into cooperative purchasing agreement with Cone Incorporated in the amount of $493,000 for the Cherry Street Ramp South Elevator Replacement. Director?
Okay, I'll start this off, and then we have Operations Manager Pierlot is here with us tonight. Chris is also the parking director, so he can answer any questions. But the short version is the south elevator at the Quincy, or the Cherry Street parking ramp, has been out of service for 2 years. And through a variety of mishaps, we have not been able to get the parts to repair that elevator and get it back in service. There are a lot of proprietary pieces that go into elevators. I learned more about elevators in the last 5 years than I ever cared to know in the first place. So essentially what we're going to have to do is gut that elevator and cab. Rather than going out for competitive bid, because there's so much proprietary information in there, it's very hard to get competitive bids, because what do you design to? Do you design to a Schindler elevator? Do you design to an Otis elevator? How do you pick one, right? So what staff was able to do is they were able to look on the government services contract, and Kone, who is our elevator maintenance supplier, has a government services contract or a cooperative purchase agreement that they've negotiated, especially for the benefit of the two new alders. Government services contracting and these competitive purchase agreements, there are thousands of commodities or services or goods or things of that nature that the state goes out and gets state bids for, okay? So it's competitively bid at a state level, but they're bidding on mass quantities. And then municipalities are offered that ability that we can join in on that competitive bid that the state's already done. So that satisfies the competitive bidding requirements in the state of Wisconsin. Here on the cooperative purchase agreement, there again, the state has already acquired a competitive bid for elevators through Kone. So what we're looking to do is we're looking to add on to that. What I can tell you is for the financing, we had $400,000 set aside for this ramp repair. The quote came back at $493,000. So I've talked to Director Pierlot, and we do have sufficient reserves in the parking capital fund to be able to fund this. When we get into budget time is when we're really going to start talking about this. But parking is a special revenue fund, meaning that we take no taxpayer support and we pay our own bills. Our revenue comes from a combination of lot rentals, ramp, hourly parking, meters, and citations. Chris does the best that he can to try to estimate where we're going to be for all of that and match the revenue to the expenses that were anticipated, but you can't get it. Unlike levy-supported borrowing, we can adjust the levy rate to get right down to the dollar we need. You can't do that with special revenue fund because you're swinging. You're taking an educated guess at things. So we typically wind up with a little bit extra at the end of the year. At least that's the anticipation. That goes, if there's extra left in the funds, if revenues lead expenses during the course of any given year, we take that money and we put it into our capital reserve fund. And that grows over time. It may only be $2,000 or $3,000 a year. Sometimes if we get a big convention or something happens, we're generating a lot of parking revenue, it could be several thousands of dollars. Never know. But typically it's in the tens of thousands of dollars if we get leftover, and that goes into our cap reserve fund, and basically that's a rainy day fund, like a contingency fund for us to fund projects like this. So we do have the funding available. It's all coming out of our capital fund, combination of bonding and fund balance of the cap reserve fund.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? I have a question. I don't know, for one of you. Looking at this amount of money going into it, is there, what is the estimated longevity of the Cherry Street ramp? I know you've talked about some that need replacing.
Oh, Cherry, I would say still has at least 50 years left in her.
Easily.
That's our newest ramp.
I thought so, but I want to just
Built in
clarify.
2005. Our oldest ramps are in their late 40s. And at that time when they were built, their longevity was projected to be a little bit less, but the technology has advanced, and Director Grenier is absolutely right. If we take care of it the way we have been with all of our ramps, we can get another 50 years out of it.
Okay, thank you. Alder Weary, I had asked if anybody had any questions as you were.
Nope, thanks.
Okay, all right, so I'm looking for a motion.
I move to approve.
That was Alder Presley? Okay, Alder Presley makes a motion to approve.
Second?
Second by Alder Weary. All those in favor, say aye.
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 And that passes. Oops, hit the button. Okay, so the next one is number 4. Consideration with possible action on request by Department of Public Works to award the following contract at a staff level and report the award at the next Improvement and Services Committee meeting. Do you want me to read the next part? Parks,
Sure,
24.
the actual contract number.
yeah, Bay Beach Wildlife Sanctuary Parking Lot Expansion, PH1.
And you will see these from time to time. If our bidding schedule doesn't line up with our meeting schedule, it could cause undue delay, and especially as we start getting into this time of the year, any delay could jeopardize the ability for us to get the project completed. So what we're looking is for the committee to make a recommendation to council, to have council give us the ability to award that at a staff level and then report out at the next regularly scheduled meeting.
Anybody have any questions? Then I'm looking for a motion.
Move to approve?
Alder Weary moves to approve,
I'll second it.
second by Alder DeLee. And all those in favor say aye.
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 And that passes. So we'll move on to number 5, consideration with possible action on requests by Department of Public Works to review and approve the award of Bridge 2-24 painting B5141, B5154, B5275 to Zenith Tech Inc. in the amount of $374,500. Asking for a lot of money tonight, as usual, right?
It's construction time.
All right.
I apologize, we did not get the bid tabulations for 3 construction projects into the packet for tonight, so I've handed them out to you. I will make sure they are in the council pack before we publish. The second page of the handout we've provided to you is Bridge 2-24, bridge painting for the 3 structures listed. 2 bidders submitted bids. Zenith Tech was the low responsible bidder in the amount of $374,500. That was a great, I repeat, great price. So staff does recommend award.
Any questions?
Can you do the Tony the Tiger?
The Tony the Tiger.
I move to approve.
Okay, Alder Presley moves to approve,
I'll second.
and second by Alder DeLee. All those in favor say aye,
Aye.
and that passes. So number 6, report the award of contract resurfacing, which is in there, right, at the end, 224, including sewer and water, to Jossart Brothers, Inc. in the amount of $3,656,132.60.
Okay, the third sheet in the packet that I just provided to you is the bid tabulation for resurfacing 2-24. 3 bidders, low responsible bidder is Jossart Brothers in the amount of $3,656,132.60. All of the prices we got were very good, so we're very happy with this one. Staff does recommend award, and Jossart Brothers is waiting in the wings, ready to go.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, then I'm looking for a motion.
I'll move to approve.
And Alder DeLee moves to approve.
Second.
Second by Alder Presley. All those in favor say aye.
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 And that passes. So we'll move on to number 7, report of actions taken by the Department of Public Works. Granting licenses, sidewalk builder, Total Construction, Joe Maines Concrete, Quality Asphalt, Green Bay LLC, N&L Concrete Construction LLC, and Paul Conard Construction.
And again, because we've already granted these licenses, we're just reporting this out, so a motion received and placed on file would be appropriate.
Okay?
Motion received and placed on file.
Motion by Alder Weary,
Seconded.
second by Alder Presley. All those in favor say aye.
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 And that passes. Number 8, consideration with possible action on request by Department of Public Works to review and approve the award of ESG 124 salt shed materials to Wheeler Lumber LLC in the amount of $142,300. What?
Just give me a cough drop.
Oh, okay.
Be a
I'm like,
lifesaver.
what's going on? And that's the first one.
That is the first sheet. A couple of weeks ago, we did inform the committee that we had a structural failure at the east side garage for our salt shed. So what staff has done is, we need to get a designer and to actually purchase the materials. What we found, again, learning a little bit about salt sheds, never thought I'd have to worry about them, but you don't just go to Menards and pick out a salt shed, okay? So the people who supply the salt sheds do their own design. Still got to be able to competitively bid it. How do you do that when you have something proprietary? So we put together what we refer to as a performance-based specification. So it didn't have detailed drawings of the building. We said size, height, load, what it needs to be able to withstand, the performance basis for it. Went out and put a performance-based specification on the street. We only received one company that responded to that. That is Wheeler Lumber. Wheeler is actually a vendor that we would strongly encourage working with. They are among the industry leaders for this type of construction. And the price did come back extremely competitive. So staff was very happy with the number we got, and we do recommend award. There will be a second contract that comes up after Wheeler completes the design and delivers the materials, we'll still have to go out and competitively bid the construction, but then we'll have design plans that Wheeler will have prepared for us. We'll put that on the street for the construction. We'll bring a separate construction contract back for review and approval.
So we only got one bid, huh?
Correct.
Basically. Okay. Any questions? Okay, I'm looking for a motion.
I move to approve.
Alder Presley moves to approve,
I'll second it.
second by Alder DeLee, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that passes. Okay, number 9, consideration with possible action on request by Department of Public Works to award the following contract at a staff level and report the award at the next Improvement and Services Committee meeting for A Parks X24 Light Park Shelter. Yay.
Okay, and here's a little secret we're gonna let you guys in on if you haven't figured it out already. Parks, it's a park project.
Yes.
1-24 is the first contract we let in 2024. Real intricate naming schemes we use here, okay? So X24 means we haven't put a number to it yet. This is one that's being consultant designed by ISG, and it's ARPA funded. So the money's already there. Again, we're expecting that we're going to get the bid documents within the next week. Then we have to put it out for bid. And by the time it comes back, we are looking at probably early July for the bids to come back. And then with the July meeting schedule, we could delay the construction for a month, and we have to have that thing encumbered. And we'd like to get the construction done in 24 for the building itself, so that it's ready for the draft in 2025. In order to meet the aggressive bidding schedule, we'd either have to call a special meeting of the Common Council, or, similar to the last item that we talked about, give us the ability to go ahead and award that contract and report it out later.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? All right, looking for a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Okay, and Alder DeLee moves to approve,
Seconded.
second by Alder Presley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that is approved. So we will move on to informational director's report on recent activities of the Public Works Department.
The only thing I really wanted to bring up during director's report is last weekend, or last week, the Friday leading up to Mother's Day, we have completed our spring yard waste collection cycle for the year. Staff is out kind of picking up bits and pieces, but you had to have your material out to the curb by Friday of last week. So moving forward, we'll go into regular rotation where if people put things out, there's a charge for that. The other thing associated with the curbside collection periods that I wanted to bring up, we've been working on this for about more than 2, almost 3 years. One of the things we hear about a lot is the requirements. When you place yard waste out, even during the approved curbside collection periods, it has to stay on the terrace. You can't put it in the street. And the reason for that, I shorthand tell people that the short version is because it would be a problem with our DNR permit. Okay? The problem with the permit is if we keep that material on the terrace, then we can get credit for that under our permit. If you put it in the road, we don't get credit for it. The curbside collection, the labor and materials associated with curbside collection, and the cost of running the yard waste centers is funded by the stormwater utilities, not taxpayer funded. If I can't get the credit, I can't justify the stormwater utility spending right now close to $600,000 a year on doing those two services, so we would have to move that over to the levy. At $85,000 worth of direct expense equating to a penny on the levy, $600,000, we are talking about a lot of money. You could be raising, so even if we say instead of 85, it's 90. You're gonna be what? Almost 7 cents permanently. Okay, getting a 2 penny levy increase in a year is a fight. To go up 7 cents on the levy permanently just for picking up yard waste at the curb, That's never going to fly in Green Bay. So we need to be able to use the stormwater utility to offset that to keep it affordable for our residents. Otherwise, we can't offer the service. The only way I can afford to do that is if you keep the leaves on the terrace, not put them in the streets. So over the past 3 years, we've been working on a system of warning residents. You get a letter saying this is inconsistent, you're in violation of the municipal ordinance, don't do this anymore. If you continue to do it, you may be subject to a citation. We are ready. In the fall, when we go to loose leaf collection, we're gonna start citations. So just so you know, you as alders may get phone calls on it. I as director am going to get phone calls on it. But we just want to advise you that we got through the spring yard waste, and this is the last set of warnings. Now, a particular resident will have to get a warning before they get a citation. So if a resident hasn't had a violation in the past, they get one freebie. We'll give you one warning letter, but after the one warning letter, you've been warned. You're subject to citation.
Okay, Alderberry?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I do have a question, and I'm sure there's going to be some discretion involved because obviously with wind and weather, sometimes you can't tell if it was moved, if it was put in the street or swirled in the street, or it's gonna be a tough one.
Actually, Operations Manager Pierlot wrote a very nice training manual for our staff that shows, complete with photos of typical scenarios where somebody had the pile on the terrace, it was properly stored, and it sloughed off, versus wind-blown debris and things like that. So it's going to have to be a relatively egregious where none of the pile or very little of the piles on the terrace and it's all out in the road. That's what we're looking for is the true people who are offending. And it's pretty obvious when you look at them.
Okay, cool, good.
And then with any of the citations, anyone who would contest the citation, that contestation is going to come through Chris, myself, and or Jim. And if somebody got a little overzealous, we know what violation looks like. We can take care of those at a staff level before they come here.
Have those letters been already going out? Because I had like a whole
They have been for 3
street.
years already.
Okay, because like a certain street in my district, they all got letters and they were like, that neighbor must have complained or whatever, and anyway, so that, I don't know why, but it was.
If they got a warning letter, it was they had their stuff in the street, and the letter says you may be subject to citation in October. It's not going to be May anymore.
Yeah, and it's not from neighbor complaints, it's from our
That-
people out in the field, so they see it up in the street, write it down, the address, pick it, collect it, of course, and then they
Okay.
just get a follow-up letter saying, hey, don't do that.
Okay, thank you. And I noticed we got this in our mailbox.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if they wound up in the mailboxes yet or not. So that is our annual report. That's a pretty comprehensive description of the work that staff undertook in 2023. So as you peruse that, when you have time on your hands to look at it, if there's any questions that you have, feel free to give us a call, and we'll be happy to discuss anything that's in there.
Okay, any other questions? All right, and then this week is National Law Enforcement Appreciation Week, so I'm just pointing that out because, Alder Stoyer always had some
did.
kind of tidbit, didn't he?
Yes.
So I'm looking for a motion to receive and place on file for the report.
Move to receive and place on file.
Okay, Alder Presley moves to receive
Second.
and place on file, seconded by Alder Weary, and all those in favor say aye,
Aye.
and it is passed. So the next Improvement in Services meeting is scheduled for June 5th,
15.
or,
Well, and
I just looked it up. It
Oh,
showed
so
the
it's-
15th. I had it on my calendar on my phone.
I think we only
the next council, I think
So
the
the
next
next
council
one's the
meeting
June 12th.
is June 4th.
okay. So if we're meeting May 21st.
No,
is our this committee,
There's
or will that be
something,
pushed out?
there's
This
something
time?
goofy with the schedule.
Yeah, it flipped, because I had put them all in my calendar,
It does that, don't even, don't even be surprised.
So we have. That was last night.
To be
City
determined.
council meeting on the 21st of May.
Oh, yeah, that's right. City council, the 21st, and then
Okay.
this,
And then it flips and we have city council on the 11th of June.
Okay, so June 5th is the corrected day.
it would
We-
have to, because we have to.
That's what it was. Okay, I know we were working on this in the office over the past 2 days. They originally, within Civic Clerk, they had our meeting on the 12th, which would be the day after council, which didn't make any sense. So we moved our meeting up on the 5th to be consistent with the other committees, and then the 19th, we had the same issue, the following week. They had us going the day after common council there, so we moved up to the 5th and the 19th. So the 5th is the correct day.
Okay, so our next, is the 5th. So, motion.
Oh,
Yo,
I just-
yes, question?
I have a note, agenda item F9, it looks like the background is redundant from F8. Just, I know we already approved the agenda, but just wanted to note
F9.
that for when that goes to.
Oh, you're correct. Yes.
Oh,
In the title page for the packet, the staff didn't change the background information for you. That was a last,
the salt.
that was a
storage
last
you're
minute
talking
add
about,
yesterday
yeah.
afternoon, which is why the agenda was amended. So we were scrambling to get it in, and we just didn't clear that item out.
It got amended like, yeah, twice.
Twice.
So I'm like, okay, what's different? You know, you're trying to figure out what's different from the other one. Okay.
Well, we received the bids on the salt shed, and then, Park came down, and they wanted us to make sure that we got well, the first amendment was actually, we published the agenda showing the committee chambers, not council chambers, so we had to change the room number.
Oh, yeah.
Then we added these two items to the agenda to get them on so we could get them processed.
Okay, thank you for that note, and looking for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Alder Presley, motion to
I'll
adjourn.
second that.
Second by Alder DeLee. All those in favor say aye,
I
unless you want to stay here all night. And that passes. We are adjourned.